Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tess of WrestleZone.com, joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE Monday Night Raw. John, how you doing?
I am doing pretty well. This is my first Raw in 3 weeks because I was at Pittsburgh and I was at Dallas, so now I'm back for the first time in like 3 weeks and only temporarily because I'll be also gone next week as well. But I figured, hey, I would pop in for a week and see how it's going. Um, but yeah, it was an eventful couple weeks, so I'm glad to finally be back to talk about the show again because it's night and day different from when me and you last talked about Raw.
That it is. That it is. There's been a lot of stuff happening, and I was thinking about it earlier. I am just very glad that we are back to a normal flow of content here. WrestleMania time always a little crazy, so once we get back to business with the usual routine: Raw, SmackDown, NXT. One or two premium live events a month. It's nice and doable, right? It's like you can digest each one rather than feel like it's just like it's nonstop stream like WrestleMania week. So much stuff, so much stuff. Here we are, and it's still you still get the excitement, you still get the kind of the changes in the air. We saw another call up tonight on Raw. We'll talk about that. So it's a good balance, change and still some WrestleMania hype at the same time. Not too much. So already getting two comments here. I thought Melly Mel saying Raw was awesome. Herman saying Raw was good. I was pleasantly surprised. We got two pretty. All right, last week not so much, but I feel like tonight was pretty good tonight. I will give it that. Um, let's work backwards. I think the most interesting thing to talk about is the fact that even this was set up on SmackDown. The Usos, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, made it clear that they were going to come to Raw after Roman Reigns said it was time to unify the tag team titles. So RK Bro had a match with Alpha Academy. Won. Good match. Seen a bunch of times. Nothing really to write home about there. Everyone involved is very talented, but obviously the real interest was anything happened with the Usos. Usos come out and challenge RK Bro to a championship unification match, and the Street Profits come out and say, "Well, not before we get our title shot." So that sets up. I guess Randy Orton booked the main event match of the Usos versus Street Profits. A very, very good match. As expected, both teams are great. Montez Ford is amazing, flying all over the place. The Usos are one of the very best teams. And Brian Everett saying he's liking this 3A food we've seen so far. And it definitely continued in this match and afterwards. The Usos won. Good match. RK Bro confronts them. Street Profits try to attack, kind of come up on the losing end of that. The Usos stand tall, holding both titles. So it feels very clear that we are at least heading toward a championship unification match of some sort. The Street Profits lost tonight, so I don't know how, if at all, they're gonna remain involved in the coming weeks. But still a very good match. I'm interested in this unification match. Steven said we could see a ladder match for both tag titles at Backlash. I like that idea. But I guess we can talk about the match and then the ramifications. So, John, what do you think about how this kind of came to be and what it could represent going forward?
Which match are we talking about? Are we talking about the Orton one or the Street Profits one?
Both, just the tag team division, I guess, at this point in general.
Okay, yeah, well, I thought the main event itself was a really good match. It kind of when you saw the lineup of the show, you kind of had the impression that it might start to slow down about halfway through. However, I thought that all four guys in this main event did a pretty good match. But again, as usual, and as been the case recently, Montez Ford is a standout. I mean, he has the best spots. He has the most memorable moments. Th- this is this is a Kofi Kingston Big E situation. Like he is going to be a world champion eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you can't deny that because he has tons of potential. He has character. He could be a solo superstar. As far as the match before that with RK Bro and Alpha Academy, this match was fine as well, but it just felt repetitive because we've seen this kind of stuff going on a lot recently. It was no surprise on how the match ended. Alpha Academy, are going to be in the rearview mirror here pretty soon. I hate to say it, but they had the WrestleMania match. It didn't really work out well for them, so we'll see where that leads up. But as far as the unification match goes, I think that's definitely what we're going to get at WrestleMania Backlash. Um, And as much as I hate to say it, part of me thinks this is where they pull the trigger on the turn here between this team. Unless there's a major swerve and they win and the Usos lose, and that kind of starts a dissolving between Roman and them, which I doubt. I see them literally holding all of the gold, and then they're going to continue on this path and go for other titles as well, whether that be United States or whatever it may be. If they want to add a female to the group, they could do that as well. It just felt like uh, uh, I wouldn't say I will say actually it's needed. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time, ever since Survivor Series of last year, when I thought was the perfect opportunity to unify the titles, and now they have the chance to do it again. They don't have necessarily a lot of tag teams. I mean, they do, but they don't. They're like really like solidified as top level. So I think unifying them, having them on both shows, having feuds and stuff would really benefit this title.
Yeah, I mean they have teams, but in terms of actual title contenders, they really don't have all that many. So I know what we were just talking about RK Bro versus Alpha Academy. That's kind of what they can really do at this point, other than RK Bro and Street Profits over on Raw. Other than that, there's really not that much. So I think that's just another reason why a title unification would be a good idea. And even here, some support for the idea that the Street Profits could break up. Brian's saying Ford could be a single star. Steven's saying break up the Profits, Ford, bright future, getting a singles title. So, especially in a world where they do unify the tag titles, I mean, I think that could be more feasible. Like, because if they don't do that, then you're going to, essentially take a thin division and take away one of the best teams. Whereas you unify titles, you don't need, not to say like you don't need the Street Profits. You know what I mean? Like, I could kind of visualize that a little more than if things remain as they are right now, because otherwise they're going to have to throw together another random team. I think unifying titles, as I think we've talked about on this show, on the SmackDown show, that's a good way to put a band-aid on the lack of depth, I guess, because then at least you're consolidating and saying, okay, well, a team saw it can challenge for one title, so it just makes sense like that. We got Scott saying he doesn't like the unification match, especially with Edge joining a new stable. He needs a title to make it work. Bloodline's not losing titles anytime soon. I mean, it is interesting in the sense that, Edge's stable's over on Raw, the Usos right now over on SmackDown. In theory, Damien Priest in that case could challenge for the U.S. title, but we'll talk about that a little later. I don't know. It's interesting to think, what that, I guess what this could mean for Roman in terms of having the Usos maybe. What I don't know. It's kind of interesting to think how that might go. And then this kind of begs question about potentially unifying other titles, the women's titles. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But DJ with another question here about the Street Profits. Are we seeing them turn heel? They did try to attack RK Bro pretty much from behind, and Montez Ford just ate an RKO, for no reason. But they are definitely displaying more attitude. I don't know if it's going to be a heel turn necessarily. Could be interesting if they don't split up, especially if that's kind of a way they shake it up a little bit, change the character a little bit. That'd be interesting. And again, it feels like they might be heading to the back of the line in this case. But I definitely think we can pretty much expect to see this unification match at WrestleMania Backlash. John, you mentioned maybe seeing that be the way that the RK Bro split starts to happen. I think that's more conceivable. Like we've been talking about it for a while now, and thinking about if they did it like WrestleMania, that's a long time. But that's already in May of WrestleMania Backlash. Then that's not too long to get to Money in the Bank and or SummerSlam. So you can kind of see them getting it that far. But again, so many ramifications here. Brian saying, is this the end of the brand split? And again, Rob and I talked about this on Friday. If not the end, it's definitely a softening. Because again, if you're going to have unified titles for Roman in this case as already, and with the tag titles potentially, I mean, yeah, you're going to have, in this case, Usos or RK Bro going to both shows, as we are seeing tonight, as we've seen for the past several weeks. So, and I think that's beneficial.
But it always seems like it's always the SmackDown people going to Raw, and not the Raw people going to SmackDown. It's kind of weird like that. I mean, we've already known that Raw has existed for the women's tag titles ever since they started. But now you include Roman and you include possibly the other tag titles into the mix, and that's like half of the champions on the main roster right there. So I'm not quite sure why they feel like it always has to be like on Raw when the crossovers happen. I can't remember besides Lesnar a consistent Raw cross. Like you know when you see RK Bro on SmackDown.
I think they did one show. I felt like it was last fall, but it's very, very rare. You're absolutely right about that. I don't think there's like a rhyme or reason to it. I don't mean to be too um I don't know, I guess too basic, but it's like it does feel every time it happens, Roman coming to Raw or whoever it might be, it does feel like putting it nicely, an attempt to boost the ratings. In this case, if it's Roman, the Usos weren't advertised, but like it generates a little more excitement. And then if they do wind up, coming over more often, that's something. Uh, where like so I feel like they might feel the need to boost Raw's rating more than they do for SmackDown. SmackDown's ratings, they're drawing more than 2 million viewers essentially on a weekly basis, and Raw is too. It's different where Raw's ratings are historically have been kind of declining. Exactly, Michael saying SmackDown does not need the Raw rub. They've got Roman, and that's good enough. Raw needs the SmackDown rub. Talking all about that rub here, but I mean, yeah, I think that's what it boils down to, at least for now. And then if, again, I've said it before, if this is a softening of the brand split, I think that's a good thing. WrestleMania Raw, we had Roman Reigns, Brock at that time, Sasha Banks, all on Raw. The shows are better when you can have your top stars on any given show rather than saying, okay, I have to watch the Monday show to see X, Y, and Z. I have to watch Friday show to see EGF, whatever. And then getting rid of that and saying, okay, you could see anybody anytime. Granted, there are obviously challenges to that as well. I do think there are definitely upsides as well. So at the very least, if it's a softening and that's it's not less strict, I think that's beneficial. So I like it. I guess we can roll this question into another title picture question here. We got Eddie saying, let's talk about unifying the brand split and everything. Do we think they should unify the women's championships and introduce mid-card title for the women's division? Someone asked on SmackDown as well. We ain't going to talk about it. I don't know if they have the depth for a mid-card title in the women's division. At least right now, like if they do more call-ups, maybe. I just don't really know how that would work. I mean, tonight on Raw, we had Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega for the umpteenth time. We've seen that so many times over and over and over again. They called up Raquel Gonzalez. She's on SmackDown now. Raw needs more women's talent in the division, okay? Like, otherwise, so many rematches over and over again. Carmella right now. I mean, even Sonya Deville, like said, oh, there are so many options for the title contender. I mean, yeah, but you don't use any of them. Alexa Bliss, I mean, granted, she was planning her wedding. Fine. Carmella is now, celebrating her wedding. Fine. Otherwise, even then, you're not building them up as like strong title contenders. You're having Carmella and Vega lose every single week. You're having Bliss, again, that's a little bit of an exception, but still, I don't think they have enough depth for that. And to me, it's different. The tag titles, it does feel different, right? Like it's the tag division versus the women's division. Like it's the women's division, John. Like they can't unify the titles like that. I don't think that'd be right.
There are definitely not enough women, or not even a need to introduce a mid-card title to the women's division. There is absolutely no reason why they would need to do that. I mean, AEW is only doing it because they only had one in the first place. There's already two on. I mean, technically, there's four on the main roster right now. There's absolutely no need for another one because then they would just become pointless, and everybody would have one, and it would just be not good.
Yeah, I mean that's just saying they should unify the titles here because they don't have enough superstars, enough depth. To me, that's infuriating because like self-inflicted wounds, all the releases, everything like they've contributed to that problem themselves. And then whatever's left behind, they're not building those people up. Over on SmackDown, Xia Li, Aaliyah, not really getting pushed on Raw.
Hold up. We don't need to unify the women's titles either. I think there's enough women on Raw and SmackDown, especially now with Raquel Rodriguez, Lacey Evans, Bailey will be coming back, Asuka will be coming back, Alexa Bliss will be coming back. Like you got Belair and you got Charlotte. Like that's good. I mean, it's going to be Rousey eventually. Maybe in a couple weeks it'll be Rousey and Belair, but that's fine. Like we don't need to unify them because then you're going to have like meaningless feuds with the women. Like we're good now. I mean, look, Sonya Deville is like a transitional feud. Like she's not going to win. This might be just waiting for Bailey to be fully ready to come back because we know they're going to pick back up with the Bailey and Belair where they left off when Bailey was hurt in first place. Like to me, it's like all coming together in the women's division. There's no need to like split that up. I don't think. Um, so and like we're talking about like all like the women's like the titles and stuff, but like let's not forget that like you have Tamina and you have Dana Brooke that are basically like they're doing nothing. Like they're we talked about this before the show. Double wedding next week with R-Truth. Like to me, this is gonna be like the Index wedding where it was like all supposed to be fun. Like, oh, I know you're thinking it's not gonna be as good. I'm not saying that, but it's gonna be like silly, funny, like it was then. And like I'm gonna have to like dig out my suit and tie because like this is the second wedding I'm ever gonna be at. Like I'm gonna be at a wedding, like a double wedding too. Like how many people can say they've been at a double wedding?
There you go. We'll talk about that in a bit. But that is part of the thing here of they're not Steven saying they're not using at least half the women's roster anyway. And then in this case, it does feel like there's a very clear divide between like the women's roster and then whoever winds up in the 24/7 title division. Tonight, that was joined by Nikki ASH, which is a little unfortunate,
And
but
her, I forgot about her.
yeah, exactly. So, and see, Brian's saying, like, speaking of the 24/7 thing here, Tamina is being held back drastically. She could be, at least kind of a somewhat believable, credible challenger, and she's off this wedding stuff and the 24/7 title
You know who
stuff.
else I forgot about
Who's that?
Until Sonya Deville was in the ring naming names? Dewdrop. I
Yeah.
forgot completely about Dewdrop until Sonya named her as like one of the possible challengers.
Yeah, I mean, they have people. They just like I feel like I mean, Dewdrop got a brief moment to shine around the Royal Rumble. Liv Morgan has been featured. It feels like they ain't quite capitalized on that momentum. Now she's back in the tag title scene here. Again, they have like people literally just in terms of credible challengers here. Rhea Ripley, another one as well. Obviously, they have like just how they're being used right now. It's hard to really see them as a real title contender, the single style contender in that case. But I mean, yeah, we should mention here. Yeah, John, you said it yourself. Sonya Deville getting a title match here. She came out to the ring after Bianca easily beat Queen Vega or Queen Zelina, and she had a contract and said, "Oh, I have this big opponent for you for your first defense. It's a generational talent, blah blah blah." Someone who said they've returned a year ago and would challenge for the title, and now I'm like, who? And then Sonya like cued the drum roll. Bianca's distracted. Sonya Deville attacks Bianca Belair and says, "Your first opponent is me." So there you go. I feel like that's probably what we're going to get at the WrestleMania Backlash. And that's fine. I just really thought this would have been a really good chance to have Asuka, Bayley, somebody to, to actually have it be somebody big and Sonya Deville. And my only problem with this is it's just so hard to like believe. Like, how is nobody holding Sonya Deville accountable? She's been abusing her power since pretty frequently since what, like the fall? If not earlier. Like it's been a while now. The way she treated Naomi over on SmackDown for months, and now this, like, and then Adam Pearce even called her out on it. He was like, I don't know how you think you're going to get away with this. Like, it's a clear abuse of power. And she's like, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you're both WWE officials. Pierce was there first. In theory, he should have some seniority. And instead, she's like, no, like, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna face it for the title. I don't know. It took me a little out of it, is all I'm saying. I'm sure it'll be a good match. Sonya's very talented. This could be a good chance to kind of, remind everyone. I mean, we saw her at Elimination Chamber and that tag team match around Rousey, but this could be a good chance to really see what she can do in a singles match here against someone like Belair. So it could work out. DJ doesn't think it's going to happen. He thinks he's going to abuse her power again, as she did with Naomi. Entirely possible. But as you said, John, probably going to be a traditional feud. I just don't know how long they can keep running with this because someone just keeps abusing your power, and like, especially if she doesn't win this match, it's got to be some consequences eventually, right?
Could Adam Pearce remove her from her position and just make her a member of the roster instead?
In theory, that would make sense.
Okay.
It's like, oh,
Okay.
you want to wrestle? Like there you go. You're a full-time member of the roster now, and then that's it. Makes sense to me. I don't know. I know it's a lot to ask. I just want it to make sense. Man. Again, should be a perfectly fine match. We're talking about the women's division here. We're talking about Rhea Ripley a minute ago. Should mention the broadcast team pointed out that she was in. So they said in protocol. which is usually kind of the lingo for COVID-19 protocol. They did not specify, so I don't want to speculate about what exactly that entails. But she was not able to make the show tonight. They had advertised a women's tag team title match between Ripley and Liv Morgan and the champions, Sasha Banks and Naomi. That didn't happen. It will happen next week. Instead, Liv Morgan lost to Naomi after Liv beat Sasha on SmackDown. So a little, I guess 50-50 there. But we'll get the title match next week. As we talked about last week, I have to think that's going to be the place that Liv and Rhea split up. As these things happen, we saw this literally for 2 years, where people are unable to make the show, and you kind of got to delay some plans a little bit. So I feel like that's probably the direction we're getting next week. Would you agree, John? That's probably kind of what we're gonna, just a bit of a delay from this week to next week, essentially.
Yep, absolutely. It just probably got to do what they got to do. So
yeah, but some more thoughts about the Becky match, or sorry, Bianca here, about maybe face Becky at SummerSlam a little more long term. I think that could very well happen. I don't really see anybody else right now, other than something we mentioned before, that you'd have to build up a little bit when it's Asuka potentially coming back. Bayley, that's definitely a big match. I could see that happening whenever Bayley does come back. I think that would hopefully be soon. Becky, they're gonna do a Becky rematch eventually. Becky was not on the show tonight. Obviously, maybe taking a little time off. I haven't heard anything, but she was not on the show this week or last week, so well deserved, obviously. But speaking of the idea that Sonya should be held accountable, friend of the show rule saying Vince should put a stipulation on if Sonya loses, she should be removed from her position of power. Again, makes sense. That's all I ask. Just make it make sense. I like that. I like that idea. Will they do it? I don't know. They even confirmed that the match was for WrestleMania Backlash. That was just my assumption. They said her first challenger. Probably make the most sense to do it there and draw out the story a little bit leading up to it. And back to Rhea Ripley, we got Steven saying Rhea will probably turn heel and join with Edge and Damien Priest. That was the rumor/report, so we're just waiting to see whether that becomes a reality. I think that's an interesting combo, and that leads us to Damien Priest. Had the most weird moment of the show tonight. He had a darn good match with AJ Styles, John. The problem is the match didn't have an ending. The match did not have an ending. They're having a good match. It was good. It's good when good wrestler just having a nice, fine, solid match. And then I happen to look down. I haven't seen what happened to AJ Styles. If he got knocked out of the ring or something. And Damien just knelt down and he did a pose, and the lights started going down as if it was the Fiend, and then the lights went black, and then there's a purple beam shining down on him, and then he made this demonic face. The camera zoomed in on him. Commercial. We come back, and the broadcast team's like, yeah, that was weird. Let's go talk to AJ Styles in the back. And he said literally, what is this BS? And in that moment, I said, AJ Styles is all of us, because everyone on Twitter was like, what in the world is going on? The match ended abruptly, nothing to it. Very bizarre. And then AJ said, I'm gonna get you, Edge and Priest, essentially. This was probably one of the weirdest things I've seen, in terms of supernaturally kind of thing, ever since the days of the Fiend. We got a DJ saying that they thought the Fiend was back here. This was weird, right, John?
Oh, it was absolutely weird the way they did it, because the match was actually going pretty good. The majority of the match was fun, but the weird ending killed any momentum that the match had had. The fact that they kind of did this, like you said, kind of that Bray Wyatt type thing. It's just weird because when they start a new faction like this with somebody that's, like Edge, who's clearly not going to be around full time, you need more than just, and there will be, I assume, you need more than just one. So it's Damian Priest on his own without Edge there. You need somebody else to join, whether that would be Rhea Ripley, like the rumors suggest, maybe Tommaso, like the rumors were suggesting. Somebody though, because um, part of me thinks that AJ Styles is going to have somebody with him as well. Finn Balor, I would assume probably the one. He's probably going to drop the title, and then Balor is going to come over, and then we're going to have that kind of teaming again. But that's fine with me.
I like that idea. AJ is going to need help eventually, especially if Edge and Priest add somebody else. John, as you mentioned, Rhea Ripley or Ciampa. Talk about Ciampa in a minute, but I like the idea of Finn, give him kind of a prominent spot there working with AJ and Edge. Finn versus Edge would be an awesome match. I like to see that. So that would make me pretty happy. Raul wondering, on the flip side, what if Finn joins the group? I think that'd be interesting as well. Demon Balor kind of writes itself. I could see that as well. Maybe he teams with AJ and then turns. I don't know. It could happen. Anything can happen. But yeah, Tez pointing out it's just weird. WWE cut to a break for like with Priest in the ring, and then they come back. It was just very, very just like they do stuff like this where it's just very clear they don't really. I'm not saying that they don't care, but it's like they don't really seem to do things that take the viewer in mind. It's like you're just going to do that, and then you come back. It's like, how's the viewer supposed to feel? You just come back and the match is over. It's like we're supposed to be enjoying this match, and then it just ends. It's just weird. I've seen plenty of comparisons between Edge's group and the Ministry of Darkness here. It does feel like there are at least some spiritual comparisons. I don't think they're like bringing it back. It just feels like maybe a spiritual successor. It's not like they're reviving the original group or anything. But good connection though. I like that. I mean, Edge obviously being a member of the Brood back in the day, definitely even more connections there. But we mentioned Tommaso Ciampa. Definitely worth mentioning. Earlier today was reported that former NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa was slated to be at Raw tonight. Now we've seen him a couple times since February, I think, a couple matches leading into Braun Breaker's match with Dolph Ziggler, part of that feud. Ciampa, I think won every match he had. He had a pretty good like mini run on Raw, and it was reported that he would be getting called up to Raw today. And then, much like for Cal Rodriguez over on SmackDown, got introduced in a backstage interview. Didn't really say much before Ezekiel came over, and then before too long, Kevin Owens got involved as well. Kevin Owens remains determined to prove that Ezekiel is a liar and he's actually Elias. And
he is Elias.
Is it? You say he's Elias or he's alive?
He's Elias,
and he's alive because Elias was.
Do you agree?
I mean, we're supposed to think that he's Ezekiel and not Elias. He's not, but he's obviously Elias. All right,
Okay.
We know that. All right, like come on. But
you never know. Maybe they could pull a fast one, and he's out there, and then Elias comes walking out when Ezekiel's out there. Then what are you going to do?
If they ever find a way to do that, I don't know. Like some kind of hologram. Who even knows? CGI. Like
maybe he actually has a brother, or they found a doppelganger or something.
Could be. At least for now. I don't know where this is going. It's interesting. It's unusual. DC's wondering where it's going. KO keeps name dropping Elias. I mean, like again, I guess. We all know it's Elias, but then Tommaso said, no, it's Ezekiel. So now it's a divide of like Kevin Owens is seemingly the only person that's still sane in the Raw locker room because everyone else says it's Ezekiel, but it's Elias. And Sean says Kevin losing his mind over Elias is hilarious. This shouldn't be as funny as it is. Like it shouldn't be entertaining, but Kevin Owens is so darn good that it is. He was saying like, you're a liar and I hate liars. And then he went to Pierce and DeVille later show. And it's like, I need proof. Like, give me his driver's license, give me his library card. I don't care. And they said, no, that's unethical. And they said, all right, I'm going to give him a lie detector test next week. So the story will continue next week. And Eddie says that will be fun. I mean,
I feel like I'm going to see an episode of Maury Povich next week with the lie detector test
and the weddings and all this stuff. I mean, it's interesting. Yeah, and DJ points out they did it a while ago with 2 Kanes on Raw. Kane, that's one thing. Kane is masked. All right, you can say, oh, like it's 2 masked people. Elias does not have a mask. So I question how they could possibly, like, again, other than some kind of hologram or who even knows. Yeah, they could do some movie magic, I'm sure.
Ezekiel is going to be lying next week.
A line?
Get it?
Ah, there you go. But yeah, Brian, it is a ridiculous storyline. Kevin Owens is doing his best. For that reason, I think it'll be entertaining, at least as it already has been.
This is what they're going to do. I think per sources is they're going to have Ezekiel grow all of his facial hair back, and then have Elias come to the ring, and then the lights are going to go out, and he's going to shave real quick, and then it's going to be Ezekiel, and they're going to be like, oh, 2 different people.
Now, John, when you shave, like, I don't know I don't know how that'll work because you got to like to really have it be believable. You got to have it. You got to get it down to the stub. You got to like really if you like rip
So
out the
they'll
beard
have him
again.
shave beforehand, then they'll like tape it to him, and then you just rip it
Okay,
off.
all right, maybe or a fake beard, a very believable fake beard. I can see it. They could again, they could find some fun ways to do it if that's the end game. All right. Again, I've seen this comparison as well. Tez saying just Park and Abyss over in Impact / TNA vibes. Again, this is this is the first time we've seen unmasked people like in terms of Kane. That Kane's different. They're like regular people doing this because again, you can't hide behind a mask and say anybody could be any, or in Kane's case, any big dude could be in that costume. In this case, it's Elias / Ezekiel. Again, I do question what the end game is. We got Nesha says that it could be a way to bring Elias back down the road. Just being tired, or either being tired of someone stealing his identity, or realizing that it's been him all along. Yeah, I mean they could. I feel like they kind of have to at some point. They just can't have. I mean, apparently they said Elias is dead, so they could do that. Just have Elias never be heard from again because permanently go to Ezekiel. Be kind of interesting there. I'm curious. Again, it's different. It's a little interesting. Weird, yes. Don't know where it's going, yes, but I'm intrigued at least. I'm intrigued. Dita's asking. We saw like a little, at least interaction. So it's a fourfold question saying, do we see Ezekiel teaming up with Ciampa? We had, they were together in the segment. Ciampa kind of defended Ezekiel, at least defended his identities and said, no, it's Ezekiel. It's not Elias. And he says, could it be the team? WWE stands for Walk with Ezekiel. I mean, maybe they don't know, like team.
Absolutely not.
I'm trying. I mean, maybe we'll team together like temporarily, like in a a one-off tag, but who knows?
Have Elias and Ezekiel be a tag team, but it's just one guy.
There you go. I like it. I like a little double, like Bella Twin style double trouble action where like I said, roll into the ring, puts the Veer on. Yeah, that'd be fun. There you go. DJ's saying bring Elias back from the grave like the Undertaker, or with the Undertaker in this case. Could be fun. I will say I'm excited / not nervous, but cautiously optimistic, maybe a little concerned about Ciampa being on the main roster. I've been a big fan of his for quite a while now. He did everything he could do in NXT. It was very obvious that his time had come on NXT, so made all the sense in the world for him to move up the main roster. He adds even more fresh talent to Raw, so that's good. Can't really make any judgments off tonight. It was just a very brief segment in terms of, a very brief interaction with Ezekiel and Kevin Owens. A match between Ciampa and Owens would be awesome. I'd like to see that if that's somehow where this is going. I don't know if it is. Also, we'll point out Ciampa, he kept his name. We got a bunch of people who are happy about that. I'm happy as well. Ciampa is still Tommaso Ciampa. He's not Butch or anything like that. He's still kept his name. But DJ points out, yes, they took away the song. I didn't say I liked every part of it, but you can't have a cake and eat it too. All right, I guess let's just take the win that he kept his name and try to get to the new song. But I'm hopeful. He's very talented. I'm hopeful he'll find success on Raw and that'll be used well. Again, can't really judge anything beyond that based on what we saw tonight, but so far kept his name, so that's off to a good start. But another guy who's off to a good start on Raw, Veer. Veer came again 2 weeks in a row on Raw itself. It was a beautiful day. Veer was supposed to face Rey Mysterio, and he got the younger baby Mysterio Dominic instead. No reason why, just a change that they did. As if we hear anything about it, we will share it on WrestleZone as soon as we can. Haven't heard anything otherwise, though. But as DJ puts out, totally squashed Dominic. Absolutely. I mean, Dominic, he put up a fight, but this was Veer all the way. And Veer attacked him after the match. Dominic got stretchered away and taken away in an ambulance.
He sent Dominic to a local medical facility.
The classic sign of doom. Like, that's your classic, like, he'll be potentially, taking some time away, maybe.
They were supposed to provide updates as they got them, but there was no update, so I don't know. Is he doing okay?
They just replayed the video package. Maybe they might cover it on Raw Talk or something, but, I mean...
Do you want to know the good news, though? There's good news.
What's that, John?
Veer looks like the beast WWE wants him to be. So it's going to be interesting to see how long he goes before he eventually loses a match. We saw Omos went fairly long time before he lost. Veer, I think, um, would have probably fallen over when he caught Dominic at ringside there when he jumped out of the ring if it wasn't for the barricade keeping him up. So that was a little bit of a maybe a botch there. But it was just funny because like he wasn't even finished, and then here come the EMTs running down the ramp with the stretcher. It's
Right.
like you didn't even like let him finish, like, and the EMTs are rushing down, and then they get him back. And of course, after a 6 to 7 minute commercial break, they're still running him backstage to the ambulance. Like they had to run like a mile to get to the ambulance or something. So they finally get to the ambulance and they open the back doors. They push him in the ambulance, and may I say, like Finn Balor and somebody else was like standing way in the back, like showing their concern from a distance. And then they barely had the door shut the whole way, and the ambulance sped off, and then that was it.
That was it.
Like, so I've seen people speculating that maybe Dominic could be going to NXT, or maybe they're gearing up for a split between him and Ray, and he's going to come back all mad that Ray wasn't there for him, or
Could
something
be.
like that. So I hope Veer continues to look strong. I would put Veer in a handicap match with the Viking Raiders because that's what they seem to do when they want to get somebody over, like they did with Omos a couple weeks ago on Raw.
Yeah. Probably going to see that here. Steven, you mentioned that Veer's he has at least so far seemed like the powerhouse that everybody wants him to be. Steven comparing Veer to Rusev 2.0 here. I like that comparison. I just hope that he, in some ways, fares better than Rusev. I mean, although Rusev had a great WWE run, it didn't end very well, but plenty of success over pretty solid stretch of time. So that's not a bad comparison at all. You know, solid mid card run, get a little shot in the in the prime time here and there. But I like that comparison in general sense. We got DZ saying "Fear the Veer" t-shirt ready. Very well could be. But as you said, John, like no Mysterio, and we don't really know why they didn't say anything about it. Like with Rhea, they said that she was in protocol. Nothing with Rhea, just wasn't there.
They could bring Jinder Mahal to Raw and have him go against Veer.
Well, the thing is, like, they were initially together, and then they got split up in the draft, so they could kind of circle back to that if they
Bring
want to.
Shanky.
They, of course, can't forget Shanky. But Brian's saying Veer's been booked like a powerhouse so far. I mean, dominating both Mysterios in an attack, and Dominic tonight, definitely a very dominant showing so far. Nanda saying, drink beef, fear Veer. I don't know why one would drink beef, but there you go. Again, Veer's been very impressive so far here, but Tez not feeling it so much, saying the Veer character dead in the water. Typical Vince character. Reminds me of the repackaged Prince Albert. I think he means Lord Tensai character. I remember that very clearly from my childhood. That was quite a weird character. Short-lived, that became what did it get repackaged as? Like, it was working with Brodus Clay and like the Funkosauruses and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Weird times. Hopefully it doesn't go that way for Veer. I just think he could be maybe the king of the ring. Could be if all goes well. And then likewise, Steve's just saying King Veer, if he makes it, you know, if he strives on the main roster, maybe he'll win the Greatest Royal Rumble. Pretty good wide range of predictions here. But no, everyone was wondering where Veer was, or sorry, where Mysterio was. We're not seeing Mysterio here. I don't know. I mean,
it was Sweet Tea. He was Sweet Tea for a while too.
Oh no, jeez. Oh man. Oh, I'm sorry. Not a minute. He meant drink beer, fear, not drink beef. Whoopsie. I don't know. People are joking about Veer facing Roman and stuff. We're all saying he would love to see it. I think we're a long ways away from that. So far, it's good with the Veer. I don't think anybody can really say like, you know, what his ceiling is. Like, we've only seen, this was his first match as Veer Mahan. Like, he had a couple matches during that run with Jinder, but like we haven't really seen what he can really do yet. But so far, so good. No, we can't really complain about that. Veer versus Cody, they could easily build him up like that. But speaking of Cody Rhodes kicked off the show. WWE must have dropped a pretty penny on how much fireworks this guy got. I mean, Miz comes out, introduces Cody from Miz TV. Cody gets WrestleMania level pyro just for appearing on Miz TV. Gets the whole 9 yards, full entrance. Other than Cody Vader, I think they've kind of decided to nix that after the botch last week. But I thought this was pretty interesting. Obviously, Cody Rhodes and Miz have a lot of history. Miz is talking about, Cody going away, coming back, all these things. Couple interesting lines. Cody was talking about how he wants to win the belt, and then Miz said it's a title, a belt holds your pants up, and obviously a very clear differentiation between WWE terminology and other terminology.
Superstars, not
Superstars,
wrestlers.
of course.
That I'm telling you, that got to me when he said that. I like Cody, but come on, like this isn't the minor leagues anymore. It's not wrestlers. They are WWE superstars. That's what you got to refer them to.
Right.
Like, come on, let's just get on track here. Come on, bro. You're in the big leagues now. Come on.
The big leagues, it's not a wrestling company, we're superstars here, damn it. No wrestling here. I thought this was interesting though, right? It was interesting kind of clash of personalities. In a way, I like that I feel like the Miz came across not better, but in some ways I found more entertaining. Like, Cody's didn't quite hit with me as well. At one point, Miz referenced Dusty Rhodes' like son of a plumber thing, and that would make Cody the grandson of a plumber. And then Cody was like, the good thing about being the son of a plumber, at least I'm not full of, and he almost said shit, but then he couldn't because WWE doesn't curse, and then like it was a whole like weird thing. John's making a sign. What's that sign for?
Stardust.
Of course, Stardust. Yes, Stardust. Long may we never see him again. I will say, Cody continues to get the big star treatment here. He got the show opening video package, usually reserved for like the Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns of the world. So that's good. They're very clearly all in on Cody. So, and they opened the show with it. They advertised the match with Miz right like after Miz TV. They said it's going to be at 9:00, like on the dot. And I was like, well, that's interesting because they usually don't say like, oh, 9:00, like, they're very clearly trying to get people
People
to
are
tune
gonna
in.
tune back in, brother. Cody's ratings, buddy.
Well,
You'll learn.
in theory, you're supposed to be watching the whole show. Well, right? That would be the idea. You're supposed to watch the whole show, or on the flip side, that's your main event, and then you say, okay, that like, or I feel like that'd be weird. Like 10:30, I don't know. Seems a little interesting. And then the
9 years. 9 years.
since what?
Cody and The Miz had a match.
Right. And then six years since he had a match on Raw. So a lot of history there. I thought it was a good match. And then at the time, I was like, oh, 9:00. Like, what's going to be the main event? And wound up being Usos and Street Profits, a very good main event. So can't complain about that. John's doing the Stardust symbol again. I like this match. I like both guys. I thought in some ways the match was better than Miz TV. Steven says he liked the Miz TV segment. The match, not that great. That was fine. I mean, Cody, Miz, two good superstars in this case, having a good match. I liked it. Cody got the win. Seth Rollins was on commentary, and then he comes in the ring after the match and says, I think Cody may have like tossed out the word rematch during his promo. And so Rollins says, oh, you mentioned a rematch. Well, now I've got to see what you can do. At WrestleMania, you had all the advantages because you were the surprise. Now I know what you can do. I'm more familiar with you. Rematch set for WrestleMania Backlash. Rollins Rhodes 2. I'm here for it. In some ways, I would have preferred to kind of get there a little quicker. It's like this week was a little, I don't know, maybe like a little detour in a way. Whereas like now we got to wait till kind of next week for the continuation of that story. I think we talked about it the first night after WrestleMania. Like it could be interesting to have, the story here. Rollins, the WWE guy, depending how far they go with it. Cody being the AEW guy. I don't know if they're going to reference it specifically, but Miz said in Miz TV, like, oh, I know where you've been. So maybe, at least like very lean into it pretty clearly and go with that story. Steven saying he's fine with the rematch, could be better than Mania. It was a very good match. I'm sure it'll be a good match at WrestleMania Backlash, but I am intrigued by the story because WrestleMania, the story was Rollins wanting WrestleMania moment, and then the story itself was Cody getting his return. Now we get a feud between the two, which we didn't get before. So that's why I'm pretty interested in it.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I think it's going to be good as it usually would be with these two in the ring. The first one was good enough without a story, so you would think that it's only going to get better. But the interesting part to me is who would win? I mean, I feel like he'd have to win again, but do they want Rollins to lose yet again? Like, I don't know.
I don't think they can have Cody lose. I think that'd be a pretty. I mean, especially just so soon into his return here.
Interference.
From who?
Brandy.
Oh, to help him beat Seth?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we've seen some rumors that like the door
Randy
might be
versus
open to her coming
Becky.
in. I don't know about that. My gosh. Oh
Calm
boy.
down, my friend. 2-on-2 mixed tag.
All right. It could be interesting. I like it.
You can dig it. You can dig it.
I can do it. There's a story there. But maybe Brian said maybe Rollins wins. You get a third match at SummerSlam. I don't think they're gonna drag it out that long. Like I think the path seems to be Cody. He's coming for the title. I mean that very very clear last week. He made the belt sign tonight after he won. Like he is clearly on a path. He's gonna deal with the Seth Rollins thing. I don't know how long they can delay it because he wants the title. There's one champion, like the world title. There's one champion right now. To me, it seems like it's going to be SummerSlam. I don't know how. Again, and that's call it 4 months away. I don't know how we're going to get there from here. That's a long time. And other people he could feud with, like maybe he does like a brief feud with Kevin Owens. I've said before, would love to see a feud with Randy Orton. I don't know if you want to go to that right away, but like they're going to need to find some ways to kind of fill this time between now and call it July, unless we've said, I think Robin and I talked about it. Maybe he wins Money in the Bank, maybe. But again, Cody's saying what we see is the SummerSlam match here, and we had one comment saying that, oh yes, Nando said Cody could be the champion within a year. So that'd be by
Whoa, 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 whoa. Take out the could and put will, first of all.
All right.
Because he
So
will
you think
he will be the WWE champion before the end of WrestleMania next year.
That's a long
Absolutely.
time, though.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree. Robert and I talked about it. Robert was like, "Oh, it's got to be the WrestleMania moment. It's got to be him winning the title of WrestleMania." I'm like, "How do you go?"
No. Well, I mean, keep going. Keep going.
Robert was saying like, that would be probably what he wants. So he got the WrestleMania moment this year, but like not like he got a WrestleMania moment, the return, the big pop, all this stuff. But not this huge. I mean, it was huge, but like what will be the definitive WrestleMania moment, winning the title that Dusty never won, for like winning it, retaining it won't be so special. Winning it, will be special.
He's from Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
WWE Day 1 pay-per-view on January 1st, 2023 is in Atlanta. So maybe start the year off with a championship change. I feel like SummerSlam might be a little too early to do it this year.
Yeah.
But I part of me is just like I'm dead set that the SummerSlam is Roman and Drew. That's just what I think. That's what it is. Roman and Drew is the main event of SummerSlam. That's what I think anyway. Maybe if Cody does win Money in the Bank, he could cash in there. I guess. Who knows?
I think if Cody does win Money in the Bank, he's gonna do it John Cena style, the honorable way. He's gonna be like, all right.
No.
He's like, he wants to win the title that Dusty never won. He's not gonna cheat to do it.
Stop it.
What? Like, come on. No way. He's not gonna cash in. Cashing in's a heel thing to do. Pretty much, inherently, pretty much. Steven says Cody can win the Rumble though. That's a classic babyface way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But then that takes out the day one scenario. So
can we pause for just a minute and talk about the return of Jerry the King Lawler to the commentary table? There were some moments where I was thinking, what is going on? First of all, he said that the Street Profits changed their attitude because of Roman Reigns, which made absolutely no sense. But it did feel like he was actually paying attention to the matches that were going on in the ring, so I give him credit for that. But he was definitely making some, and then so they were trying to hype up Raw next week, and he's sort of just talking about the Randy Orton making a match. I was like, what is and then of course he had to talk about the wedding, and of course about we better get going to the bachelorette party in typical Jerry style. But I guess he's coming for, I think, here in Buffalo. But what do you think about the temporary reintroduction of the King to the commentary table? Before you start, I want to say one more thing, because at the very beginning of the show, he was trashing the Miz for being the worst human being I've ever met. And then he was defending the Miz during the segment with Cody.
He's got layers, John. He's a complex human being. But Ness just says she loves Jerry. He's the nicest guy. For me, it's very nostalgic. You know, when I was watching when I was a kid, like it was him and Michael Cole every Monday. So that was kind of cool. Granted, this wasn't that, but still hearing Jerry on Raw, like there's something to be said for that. And I was saying the King is where he belongs. He was kind of one of the voices of the Attitude Era. I remember there were times in the pandemic era, like 2020, he'd be on Raw here and there. And there were times where I was like, oh, this is not good. Like, it's time to kind of get somebody else or whatever. I thought this was fine. I kind of glazed over the things you talked about, where it was like, you know, him talking about things that weren't exactly that relevant or whatever. Maybe because for me the bar is so low.
But do you think we should bring him back full time? Like,
no, I don't
why
think
would
so.
we get rid of Jimmy Smith and put in Jerry Lawler? Like, no, 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 no.
Jimmy Smith's doing great, much
Mm-mm.
better than anybody could expect. Better than Adnan Virk. Sorry, not trying to throw shade on that guy, but if you remember that brief era, I think this has been a pretty good team by and large. I just think he likes Booker T better than Jerry. Booker T, shucky ducky quack quack. I love it. I'm nostalgic for that as well. Nestor points out King needs JR. So yeah, without them being together, like there's something said for that. Again, I was more used to myself. King and Cole, but to each their own. Obviously, different combinations there. Also, we're talking about Corey. Obviously, congratulations to him and Carmella, as well as Alexa Bliss and Ryan Cabrera. Both of them married over the past couple of days here. Alexa Bliss had a wild wedding where like a bunch of bands performed. It's pretty crazy. If you haven't heard about it, look it up. But very, very much congratulations to both of them. And that's why we had Jerry Lawler tonight and next week. So if next week is like tonight for Jerry, I think that's totally fine. Again, especially as kind of basically a substitute fill-in. You know, like I can't be if they did replace him full time, I might feel a little differently. But like for 2 weeks, I'm like, it's fine. All right, I don't really care. I don't really like intently listen to commentary anyway, unless I really need to. If like you know what I mean. Like sometimes I kind of tune it out, but it's fine. You know, I thought it was all right. Well, something I did not think was necessarily all right. Austin Theory losing his name or his last name, or sorry, his first name. He was in the backstage segment, and he was with Alexa. Sorry, he was with Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, and he said, "Oh, just call me Theory." Mr. McMahon and I decided that Austin doesn't really fit me, so it's just Theory now. I'm like, what is that? Like, there's some names, right? Antonio Cesaro, like that's a name, I guess. Angel Garza and Humberto, still kind of silly, but like Angel, you can buy it. Humberto, whatever. Others over the years, fine. Like, all right, just chopping the name in half, like it's kind of silly, but like it's okay. Just Theory, it's like kind of goofy. It's kind of goofy. And he'll be challenging for the U.S. title next week, and I think he's going to win it.
Oh boy. Oh. I guess maybe you're right. But I don't know, man, because like, what's he gonna do then? Like, there's like nobody there. The feud with it's a baby face. It's just weird. But I agree he's probably gonna win. And then just theory, because can't just be Austin, There's already too many
Of
Austins,
course.
so it's got to be theory.
I
We'll see.
wonder, like having him and Steve Austin in the ring at WrestleMania. Vince was like, "Oh man, we got this Austin, and we got this other Austin. Like there can only be one." Just like, and if it took him that long to realize, like he's just looking at them both like the Spider-Man meme, where he's like, "Wait a second, there can only be one. We gotta get that name out of here." The theory is a much better name. We need the individual character. We can't have any repeat names. I don't know. I feel like I honestly would not be surprised if that was like something that went into it. Something had to motivate it, right? Like there had to be some reason. Not just saying when's the title. That's an interesting theory you have there. But there you go. Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know, man. Crazy episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You didn't even talk about the wedding that I mentioned earlier too, that we get to see next week.
because it was such a slight to the great bachelor and bachelorette parties that we saw of Index and
This
the
was
last.
better, man. And we're gonna have a better than Beth Phoenix. It's gonna be R-Truth.
The thing about Index, all right, we're on the Raw show. I'll defend it here as well because it's relevant. Index, a massively crafted story over months and months. It built up, twists and turns. You had Johnny Gargano in the
This is
way, and all
going
these.
to be better. This is going to be
No,
much better.
no.
Double the fun, double the wedding, double the drama.
At the very least, I think that I would hope
Main
this
event,
is.
main event of Raw next week.
God, I hope not. That would. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I would agree with Fran Show already in saying no wedding will ever match Index. Story, happy ending, and then they're still together now. Thankfully, it's kind of it's kind of dimmed a little bit, but the road there and the payoff was great. I do think this will be more dramatic, in since I don't think both weddings are going to go off without a hitch. Steven's saying she'll get his baby back. Something's going to happen. Something's going to go wrong. So at the least, we're not actually going to get two fake married couples on Raw. How they do it, I don't know. Truth will be the ordained minister, which is kind of a clever way. Maybe he'll get behind somebody, get behind Dana, I guess, and roll her up. Can see it. Dude's saying Truth will finally get his baby back. There you go. It's been far too long. So everybody wants Truth to get his baby back. So hopefully that happens. It's been too long without Truth going without his baby. Dita's been asking for a while. Which wedding we're looking forward to? Which will go through like Index and Macho Man and Elizabeth? I don't think either one's getting through all the way. I think they're both. Or they might kind of try to flip the script and have Tamina and Akira have their happy ever after. But I can't honestly. I'm looking forward to either. I'm not digging it. Not digging it. The talent involved are doing the best they can. It's not doing it for me. It's not I don't know. I just don't really care. I'm sorry. Are you particularly excited about either? Are you enjoying this, John? You're gonna be there for the wedding.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna be dressed up for the occasion as well. It's respect. It's all about respect.
If you might be the only person wearing dressed up for the occasion, John. Next week, you might just that might be the case.
I was the only one dressed up for the occasion at the Hall of Fame ceremony too. But
what do you mean?
I was dressed for the occasion. I had nice attire on, like the superstars. Nice polo, nice pants. I wasn't wearing no, Austin 316 t-shirt. I was there to look presentable for the big ceremony.
John was raised right. He was presentable for the Hall of Fame. He will be presentable
And
for the weddings.
I am in row 3 or 4 next week, so you will
Might be
probably
on
see me on TV.
There
So
you go. I will look for the guy wearing
Rollins tight blazer.
Oh, okay. Okay, there you go. Steven says on the flip side, maybe we could wear his tuxedo t-shirt, classic dress-up-esque attire. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the main event of Raw. It'll probably be somewhere in the third hour, by which time I am ready for the show to be over for the most part. Speaking of which, it's time we rate the show. We wrap it up here. So, John, what do you think about Raw tonight? All things considered, double weddings, name changes, call-ups, and more. All of it put together. What do you think?
7.
7.
7 out of 10. It was an average show. They're continuing to kind of do this fallout from Mania, get ready for the summer months. I'm excited to see kind of how they frame these feuds.
Yeah, for Raw especially, not a bad show. I'll give it a 6.8, which is actually pretty high for Raw for me. So that's pretty good. 6 from Steven, 7.5 from Nesha. Do want to shout out Glaze over this one. Lashley and Omos and MVP had a brief promo. I thought the MVP's promo about Lashley needing him, how he made Lashley, how he was responsible for Lashley's success, that was actually interesting. So I'm much more into that story than Lashley versus Omos. I do think we're going to get a rematch. I don't think it'll necessarily be a handicap match. Then I do that, depending how long the feud goes. But I thought it was a good promo. I thought Lashley, his promo was better than I expected, at least of him kind of having to speak for himself now. I thought he
True emotion, true meaning.
Yeah, they both brought it. I was impressed. So I'm interested to see where that goes and whether MVP can actually kind of help Omos reach new heights on Raw, and I think it's a good pairing for him. So I think he can kind of, again, be the manager that he needs. And I think it could be definitely beneficial. But for overall, Raul with a 6, Nando with a 6.7, Duckies, Valora with a 9, Kevin 7.6, DJ all the way with a 9 here, with a 9 tonight. Scott with a strong 5, better than the 0 he had last week. So there you go, almost like a halfway from 0 to 10. There you go. We're getting there. We're getting there. We also got a star-studded, or at least eventful episode of NXT on tap for Tuesday night. Championship edition, 3 title matches. Definitely a big card there. New tag team champions, North American title match, women's title match. Those are what they've announced. I'm sure there'll be other great stuff as well. We'll be here to talk all about that. Brian Wilson with a 6.5 for Raw as well. But we're here for the NXT post show on Tuesdays. Friday, the SmackDown post show with myself and Rob D. Felice. 2 down dudes and Rampage, Dominic and Marcus cover all things AEW. Otherwise, great stream of news, constant community. Make sure to check it out. Leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate it so much. We're back here. We're on track. WrestleMania, the craze has subsided. We are more back in the regular flow of things here. But again, it's on to the next one, WrestleMania Backlash. Less than a month away, and already shaping out to be an interesting show. So there you go. Speaking of which, John, you're going to be going to the show for Raw next week, but you're getting a question about going to AEW. I think AEW is
Oh, absolutely, I am. It's in Pittsburgh next Wednesday.
Right. I think you mean Britsburg for Brits Breaker.
No. And then it's in Philly the week after that. I will not be there. And it's in Baltimore the week after that, and I will be there.
All right, there you go. There you go. John continues to go off all over the place to enjoy the wrestling, because that's what we do here. I just gave it away, but John, here at WrestleZone, we do one thing above all of this. Can you tell me what that is?
Enjoy wrestling.
Indeed. Thanks for listening, everybody.